All right. Good morning to everyone, and welcome to our webinar, How to Prepare for a Small Business Loan and the Necessary Paperwork. My name is Anthony Brockington, and I am the Small Business Program Manager for the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs. Here at the Commission, we strive to be a catalyst for research and resource to small and minority businesses across the state of South Carolina. The mission of the South Carolina Commission for Minority, Small, and Business Affairs is to identify key issues and services that are necessary for the development of small and minority businesses, as well as the best measures for sustainability, pragmatic implementation, enhancement, and economic growth. In addition, we have 4 program areas that serve minority populations in the following areas, which are African American affairs, Asian American and Pacific Islander, Hispanic and Latino affairs, and also Native American affairs as well. In addition, our research division provides pertinent data and information that is critical for decision making. Our program managers are here to help and assist, and we stand ready. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Angela Brewer from the Small Business Administration.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Do I need to share my screen or do you all have it? I can share mine if that's not a problem.
You can share yours, that would be great.
Thank you. Are you all seeing my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As he stated, my name is Angela Brewer. I'm a business opportunity specialist with the South Carolina District Office of SBA. Our primary focus is on loan guarantee, contracting, counseling, and we also offer assistance during a disaster, or as we know right now, we're going through the pandemic. SBA offer loan guarantees. We don't directly lend money, but we back 75 to 80% of that loan, so which make it more inclined for the bank to offer lending because it takes some of the risk off of the bank. So you will have to come up with 20 to 25% of the collateral if you go through an SBA loan process. And we have federal contracting. We have a contracting program where 23% of all money spent with the federal government, spent by the federal government, goes to small businesses. So we have those programs also. And then we have small business counseling. SBA do not do counseling. We have resource partners. We have the SBDC, which is located with all major universities throughout the South Carolina. We have 3 women's business centers, one in Greenville, one in Charleston, and we have Benedict College Women's Business Center here in Columbia, and we have SCORE. They're also a SCORE office located throughout the state of South Carolina. And like I stated, we offer access to, right now we're going through the pandemic that we've been going through now a little over a year and a half, that this is the only time SBA do direct lending. If you all can remember correctly, when we had what's called the 1,000-year flood, the 100-year flood back in 2015, when SBA and FEMA came out and we were able to loan assistance to, because normally SBA do loan is normally for small businesses, but when we have something like the flood that happened, we offer loan assistance at a low interest rate to homeowners also who do not have enough insurance to cover the cost of getting their homes back up and running. So those are the programs that SBA offers. Currently, we have the EIDL. It ends December 31st. That's why Bret is here today, because a lot of you all who are not able to get assistance because of whatever reason, maybe it's the documentation or you didn't have, your taxes. That's why we're here today to talk to you all about, Bret is here today to talk to you all about the assistance or how to get your paperwork in order to get an SBA loan or a City of Columbia loan or just a bank loan altogether. So we have the EIDL, like I stated, it is ending December 31st. You have to have your application in the system. Funding has to be allocated. So that means they must be processing your application in order to be eligible for the EIDL loan. We don't know if it's going to be refunded or more funds put into the system later, but right now it ends December 31st. You are going to need your 2019 taxes. That's the biggest holdup for a lot of firms or a lot of small businesses that have not gotten an SBA EIDL loan. is because of taxes. You must have your 2019 taxes. They are doing 2020 also, but a must be your 2019 taxes. And the IRS is very backlogged. SBA has, we have our main office here in Columbia, and we have 2 alternate work sites. One is located in Charleston, and we just opened up a new alternate work site in Spartanburg. The Duncan area is on the campus of Spartanburg Tech Community College. I think that's what it's called. So if you need assistance, you can always reach out to our office. We are still working from home, working virtually, but we are able to answer our phones and we respond to our emails. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Angela, for that great information. At this time, we have Mr. Bret Whiting from the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities with his presentation on today.
You forgot Aisha.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aisha. I do apologize. Aisha, please. Thank you.
Aisha, you're muted.
Thank you. We're excited to be here today to offer this information to all the attendees. Thank you so much for your partnership. So I'm just going to briefly go over an overview of our Office of Business Opportunities. Again, my name is Aisha Driggers. I'm the Deputy Director over here. Our director is Miss Melissa Lindler. She's unable to attend, but she's certainly excited that we are able to be here today. So regarding our program areas, the first one is commercial lending, which is one of the reasons we're here today. And that program area offers financial assistance to startup and existing businesses for growth, expansion, retention, and the creation of new jobs. We also offer assistance in the redevelopment of commercial corridors. And Bret, you'll get to know Bret a lot more today, but he's the individual responsible for our commercial lending, and he's the expert in the office. He's the money guy. So he'll be able to answer any questions you have about receiving funding. We also have contractor and supplier diversity. We offer training and support for city initiatives that are designed to increase our local contractors' capacity to compete for government contracts and other procurement opportunities. So if anyone on the call is in construction, or maybe they provide a good or service, we encourage you to contact our office and see if you can participate in some of our program areas. We really want to make sure our procurement reflects the diversity of our city. And so we do that through those areas. Latanya Germany and Kalina Ginyard are on the call, and those are our staff members in that program area. Lastly, we have our technical assistance, education, and advocacy. We offer business development assistance and courses for startups and existing businesses that are looking to grow and expand. Some of the topics that we cover in our workshops include marketing, use of social media, business plan development, finances, legal issues, and more. We're always looking for other topic ideas. If anyone has some needs that they see that are not being met, our office is very interested in providing those resources and that training if there's opportunities for that. I also just want to introduce our OBO newsletter. We started this during the pandemic. We offer a lot of information in our newsletter. It goes out every Monday. It includes webinars, also important articles. Funding opportunities are included in there. I provided the link to see the one that went out yesterday, but I will put it in, I think I should be able to put it in the chat or make it available if anyone wants to click on that link. Or if they are interested in being added to our newsletter, they just need to contact our office and we can include that on there. Here is our contact information. We're still basically closed to the public, but we would be happy to set up a Zoom meeting with anyone who has any questions about the resources we offer. You can also give us a call at 803-545-3950 or email us at obo@columbiasc.gov.
Thank you, Aisha. And once again, I do apologize. That was great information. Thank you so much. Now, once again, at this time, we have Mr. Bret Whiting from the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities on his presentation on today, how to prepare for a small business loan and the necessary paperwork. The stage is yours, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Aisha. Excited to be here. Again, my name is Bret Whiting. I'm the loan officer for the City of Columbia, Office of Business Opportunities. Before we dive into the actual paperwork itself, there's a couple of suggestions that I'd like to make to anyone that's interested in applying for a loan. Number one, my advice would be present yourself and your business as a professionally. You may not understand the reasoning behind that, but we all interact with human beings. And one of the things you need to know if you're going in front of a financial institution for funding or for a loan is that you're going to be judged when you enter that door, whether that's justified or not. It's just a fact of life. So present yourself professionally. The other suggestion that I have is that you build a relationship with your banker or a banker. Wherever you bank, I would suggest that you, long before you ask for lending, you present yourself to, I would always suggest, the branch manager. Introduce yourself, tell them exactly what you do and that you're glad to meet them and you're glad to do business with them. And I suggest that because that's a relationship building tool. So when you come to ask for a lending opportunity, that person that you're going to be speaking to will already have an idea of what you do, who you are, and that sort of thing. And when it comes to a loan situation, if there is a determination to be made, if it's a gray area, it's on the border, you want that banker to be able to go to bat for you and say, hey, look, I know this guy, I know his business, we've been interacting for a long time, and yada, yada, yada. So I'm sorry, but those are my first two suggestions before you approach with your paperwork. So with that being said, we'll go into the paperwork itself, and the application that you're going to be looking at today is our application. Very similar to general applications anywhere. It's broken up in sections, largely because ours is a 2-page application and they're legal size. So the first section here, it asks for, oh, one other thing. When you're filling this out, please either fill it out by typing the information in on on your computer, or print your information so it's easily legible. You don't want a lender to have to strain or have to get back in touch with you and say, what does this mean? So FYI. Another thing is, if you're using a pen, use either black or blue ink. Stay away from the fuchsia colors. Many of these documents will have to be reproduced, and you want them to show up legibly. So first section, put in the company name, the date the business was established. That's when you got your LLC or your designation from the state that you are now a business. You put that information in there. The street address of the business. Please use the business address as opposed to your home address, unless the home address is your business address. Your federal tax ID number into that there. If you are sole proprietorship, you would use your social security number in that box. The city that your business is located, the state, the zip code, your telephone number, your fax number. If you don't have one, please put NA. It's better to put NA than to leave a box blank, mainly because whoever's reviewing this doesn't know whether or not you've forgotten to enter the information or it's NA. And very important, please include your email address, your business email address. The form of ownership. In this box, just enter the type of business entity that you are. If you're a sole proprietorship, check. Corporation, partnership. Then the next box asks you what type of business you have. Just list the type of business that you have. The next question is, are you currently party to any lawsuits or pending lawsuits? Please be honest in this box. And so if you're involved in a lawsuit or there's pending litigation, please answer that question. And my suggestion would be to provide documentation regarding the lawsuit. Are you currently in, or have you ever been in bankruptcy? Again, just be honest. And if you have been and it's been dismissed, please also provide documentation. I'm sorry. On the bottom of this, it shows that, and this is pertaining solely to us. It says, please note that a minimum credit score of 600 is required to be eligible for financing. There are fees that are associated for credit reports, and up to 2 may be required for score verification. So with us, our minimum on our traditional loans, our minimum score requirement is 600. Personal credit score is 600 and above. Aisha, thank you. The next line is ownership information. In here, you need to put in the owner's name, print it. Again, social security number of the owner, percentage of ownership, the title, and number of years with the company. Please note here that if, and this is for our application, if there is 20% or more ownership in the business, all owners with 20% stake or more have to be listed. I know we only have 2 lines there, but please have an addendum naming anybody with 20% or more. And the same information is needed. Then below that is the principal owner. So this is the folks with the highest stake in the business. Again, if there's more folks than our lines permit, please use addendum or attach documentation. Okay, then the next line is asking, is this business a startup or seeking an expansion? If you're a startup, you've been in business less than a year, then you would be considered a startup. An expansion is someone that's been in a business more than a year and is looking to grow the business. If this is an expansion, what is the current number of employees? How many employees do you currently have at the time of this application? What is the projected number of new employees after the startup or expansion? So we're asking here, how many people, if this loan is approved, do you plan on hiring? And you have 3 years to hire that number that you're pledging to on this application. In this next box, it's asking what type of insurance do you have on the business? Just state that information, the type. One of the documents you'll have to provide with the loan application is a declaration page from the insurance, but this is just asking what type of coverage you have. The next line is asking for the name of your financial institution. Who do you bank with? As I alluded to earlier, who's your contact person? That would be the person that you're building that relationship with, and their telephone number. Okay, so the next one, we're getting into what you're going to be using the funds for. And the first line is asking for the total projected cost. So whatever that cost is, if it's, I'm just going to throw a number out. If the total project that you're doing is $150,000, that's going to cover everything. That's what you put in that box. The next box is asking for your participation. How much of that total project cost is the owner going to infuse into this loan? If there's an outside source, a bank involved in that projected total cost, please enter that in that box. And lastly, it's asking how much are you asking us for the city. So that would be the amount less those other two from your total project cost. The purpose of the loan, please spell out here what you're going to be using the funds for. The target date for your loan, please put in there what time frame you think that you're going to be needing these funds by. Below, again, it's asking for a bank contact name, list the name, the address, and the phone number, again, of your bank. An attorney. If you have an attorney that represents you, please enter that information in there. And an accountant. If you work with an accountant, please enter their information in that box. There are costs involved in the loan process, and that's being spelled out in the red here. With our traditional loans, there is a $100 loan application fee, and there is a $19 credit report fee, and the credit report will be run on each of the owners. So if you have 2 owners, then you need to include $38 for the application fee. And the next box tells us how you're paying that, either by check. Basically, that's the way we accept it, by check. We don't accept cash for these. And the total amount attached, that would be the application fee and the credit report fees. And the next line is the certification of this document. What you're signing here is that you're giving us true and accurate information in this loan application, and you're certifying that that information is as stated. This is the second page of the application. And one of the questions that's asked in this box is, and there'll be a separate 2 documents that you'll provide with your application package, but it's asking if there's a conflict of interest and a disclosure certification attached. There'll be 2 documents that you'll, as I said, that you'll provide along with your loan application. One is that you don't, well, you'll be asked on the document whether there's a conflict of interest. And that document will spell out what that is. If you're, related to someone, if you're my brother, that sort of thing, that would be a conflict of interest. The other is a disclosure statement, and on that statement, you'll be telling us any other loans that you may have obtained as it relates to other government funding. You will list that. You will tell the amount. You'll tell when you received it and what the purpose of those funds were for. Okay, so the next boxes down gives us a budget breakdown. This is going to be telling me what your funds are going to be used for and the breakdown of those funds. So whether you're purchasing land, you're doing a new building construction, acquisition of machines, equipment, and working capital, that sort of thing. All of these things, please indicate how much of the funds that you're requesting are going to any one of these characters, any one of these line items. Below that, the total estimated project amount, again, that would be the total funds that you're going to use to cover everything. Again, the next box will talk about how much you are, as the owner, are injecting into the project. And then the bottom line is the estimated loan amount requested. That would be the amount that you've listed above. That those line items should total that estimated loan request amount. In other words, whatever the line items are listed should equal that amount in the estimated loan request amount. Okay, the next portion is the documentation checklist. It's asking for a copy of the lender's deed letter if there is a letter or commitment letter that is coming from another institution that has to be provided along with the application. These documents are the documents needed to come along with the application, what we refer to as the loan package. Attach a list of all collateral and value offered in the security of this loan. Please let us know what you are pledging as collateral or collateral source. We will also ask for a business plan. I'm going to discuss the business plan a little later, but the makeup of that is a description of the business, what you do, how you do it, marketing plan, how you'll sell or market your product or service, list and describe your competition. This is where you have to do your homework. You have to know if you sell widgets, if Frank sells widgets, you should know that Frank sells widgets and describe what Frank does that's different or the same as you. A history of your business. Tell about your business, your management resumes. Each of the management folks or principals in your business provide their resumes. List and description of jobs to be created by this loan, including salary, wage information, and a number of hours to be worked per week for each job. That goes back to the pledged hiring or jobs creation that we spoke about earlier. Existing businesses, we will need financial statements for the preceding years, 3 years, all pages, include balance sheets, P&L, and income statements. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Federal and state tax returns for 3 years, both personal and business. New businesses, startups. Financial statements year to date. So if you've been in business for 6 months, 6 months of your financial statements. And then for the remaining time, if 2.5 years, if you've got 6 months, we would like to have your monthly projections for the year's earnings include all your assumptions in those projections. All businesses, we would like to have your detailed financial projections for the next 3 years, include your assumptions, federal and state tax returns, 3 years on all owners, all pages, current personal financial statement on all owners. Those are the documents, the financial documents that we request. A copy of if there's a sale involved, if you're purchasing a business or land, whatever, we would like a copy of the contract for sale, a copy of your current city business license. In order to do business in the city of Columbia, you're required to have a City of Columbia business license, and we would like to have a copy of that. Again, the loan application fee and the credit bureau. Again, this is the checklist. This is for you. You go through it and check to make sure all of these documents are put together when you present your loan package. If this is a construction project, and that includes remodeling, upfits, we'd like to have the plans and specifications of the project. If it is a construction project which requires architectural and engineering drawings, we would need those as well. and a detailed construction estimate from a contractor to include all costs. So a contractor will go out and say, we're going to do all of this, and they're going to list all the costs for all the individual things that they're going to do in that project. All of construction's projects require review from the City of Columbia, Revolving Loan Committee. That has to be presented to the loan committee and approved. Any other information other than the listed above required by the City of Columbia in this nature will be, if there's other documentation that this checklist does not cover, what we're saying here is we will ask you to provide that additional information. There is a 1% origination fee for any of our projects or any of our loans, and that amount is due at the closing. So as I alluded to earlier, if we had a $150,000 loan, you would have to come to the table at the closing with $1,500. Okay, so now I'm going to discuss one of the crucial parts of a loan package. All loans, commercial loans, will require a business plan. And these are the 7 essential sections of a business plan. The first one is the executive summary. The executive summary is basically the owner or the principals in the business describing who they are, what they've done. It should have a bearing on their accomplishments. Basically tell the story of that executive, the history, any accomplishments that they've made, that sort of thing. That's all built into the executive summary. The company description. This is where you tell the story of the business. Even if you're a startup, you should be able to describe the type of business that you're doing and what you want to do with it and how you're going to get there, that sort of thing. The next thing is the next section is to describe the products and services that you offer. Be specific. Let them know. I sell widgets and I sell the heck out of widgets. And this is how I sell my widgets. Then, as I alluded to earlier, about the guy down the street selling widgets, you got to do your homework here. And that's your market analysis. You want to try to find out what your competition is, why you feel that you have an advantage in the area, the business that or service that you're providing, and how it relates. I mean, it doesn't hurt to give more information than needed, but it gives us an idea when we're looking over what you're up against, what you feel that your niche is. So by looking at others, you can do this locally, you can do it statewide. And in some cases, you can provide, if you do business nationally or internationally, you would want to list the competition in any one of those areas as well. Next is your strategy and implementation. How you're going to do this, how you're going to go about doing this. Just state how you are going to do business, and put a great deal of thought and specifics in your strategy and how you're going to apply it. Organization and management team. Let's talk about how you're structured. The CEO, the COO, if there are, managers, what are their roles? What do they do? Just list out how your business is operated in that area. Financial plan and projections. I am going to talk about some of those things later on, but you want to have your financial plan and your projections, as I alluded to earlier. You want to present what your plan is and how you're going to go about that and project what you're going to do. I do want to say this. Most financial institutions, as I said earlier, want 3 years of financials, 3 years of your taxes. And the reasoning they want 3 years is because that first year might tell a story. The second year might tell another story. And that third year, you can kind of average out what's going on. Now, I say that, COVID has thrown a wrench in a lot of that, but still, someone that's analyzing that information should be able to inject that COVID downfall into whatever they're, so there are things that have happened before COVID, things that have happened during COVID, and things that should be happening as we're turning the page on COVID, which goes in and out sometimes. So that being said, next slide, Aisha. There are 4 principal financial documents that are needed. A balance sheet, a profit and loss statement, both personal and corporate or business taxes. Now here, a balance sheet basically lists assets, liability, and shareholder liabilities. A P&L has revenues, which is sales, cost of goods, expenses, marketing cost, research and development, technical, interest expense, taxes. So profit and loss basically is telling you what you brought in and what you paid out. With the difference, and many people don't understand this, and if I'm telling you something you already know, I apologize. The biggest difference between a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement is that a balance sheet is a snap in a shot in time. Basically, it's telling you what's happened in a very limited amount of time. It's just a snapshot of the business, and the balance sheet is just like it says. Those figures should balance off. Profit and loss statement gives us a better picture of everything that you've earned, your gross numbers that you've earned, what you've spent, and then it will provide the difference between the two of your net income, which is the most important aspect of the statement. Your taxes, personal and business, tell us what the business has done, and that should reflect what is in your profit and loss statement. Another of the documents that's important is your personal financial statement. That is telling us about your personal assets, the homes you own, the boats you own, the vacation home you own. Any of your assets will be provided in that, including your 401ks, your stocks, yada, yada, yada. And I'm not going to go line by line on this, but I included this so that you'd have a picture of what a balance sheet is. This is a sample balance sheet. The first section is your current assets, and it asks about your cash on hand and your accounts receivable, your notes receivable, all those good things. And you list that in that section, and then that totals up, and that gives you your total current assets. And then you have long-term assets. These are like your home or the real estate that you own on your business, your machinery, any of those sorts of things are listed in there. And then, of course, that totals up to your total long-term assets. And now we're going to talk about your liabilities, what you owe out, your notes payable. These are things that you have to pay. And then there's long-term liabilities, things like your mortgage on your property or your home or whatever, on the business, I'm sorry. Your equipment, what you owe on that. All of those things, if you have stocks that you have to pay out, all of those things are listed there. Then that total at the bottom will be the difference between your assets and your liabilities, and that'll give you your total net worth. And then the bottom will give you your liabilities and net worth in that bottom column. And again, the figures should match up. Next is the personal financial statement. I know we're running long, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. It's pretty self-explanatory. This page just shows you how to prepare for it. And again, much of the things that you're listing are the same. You want to list your assets here. That's all the different kinds of assets that you might have. Next screen. Here's your liabilities, what you you have to pay out. And then the very bottom gives us your net worth, and that's basically what you've earned. I mean, that's your bottom line right there. So that's an example of a personal financial statement. Again, this is a breakdown of the information that you provided in that other column. This is so you can break it out on this this form. The prior document gives totals. This gives you a breakdown of those numbers. Again, this is the example of the breakdown. Next thing, Aisha. Profit and loss statement. This is what a profit and loss statement looks like. If you notice here, it has your current year and a prior year, and the numbers in this go in just as they asked. Sales revenue, service revenue, where'd you earn your money from? If you've gotten interest on money, you just plug those numbers in that column. And in most cases, when you use a profit and loss statement, they will, in a case like this, it will calculate those numbers down to your total revenue on the bottom. Here's the flip side, the expenses, how your money was spent, how you what you had to pay out. And again, it will tally at the bottom. Before income tax, you would, if you earned income before you paid out your taxes, that's where these numbers go. And bottom line, on that net profit loss line, that will be the line that shows how much you earned over or lost over what your revenues were versus your expenses. And you would like for that number to be net as opposed to loss, because that's basically saying the business lost money. That is what I have. Now, I know I went over this stuff quickly and I didn't get into the weeds, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the type of documentation that's needed. Please know that if there's anything that I can help you understand, or if there's a question about any of these things, feel free. My number, address, all that good stuff was just up on the screen, and I'm sure it'll be included in the recording of this video. Are there any questions at this time?
Yes, sir. We did have one question for you
Sure.
coming from one of our attendees.
Yeah.
The question was, what if there is no business address at first? So if someone is applying and does not have a business address, how should that be addressed on the application?
Okay. If you are applying for a loan, you will need to establish a business address. Now, many businesses, and more so during the COVID, businesses are operated out of the home. The home would then be the business address. But there has to be a business address in order for you to apply for a loan. anybody that you're applying for a loan with will need an address. And in most cases, businesses, the lender will not accept PO box numbers or shadow offices. They're going to need an address. And so my suggestion would be, if the business is operating before it has an actual business address and they're operating out of the home, list the home address as the business address. And that will have to coincide with the business license. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We do have another question for you. The question is, when opening a small business, how do you calculate profit and loss when the business has not yet been started?
Right. In that case, what you will need to do is what we call projections. So what you're going to do is, just as it sounds, you'll project what the business is going to do. Now, what's important with providing projections is, again, it goes back to knowing your market and understanding the relative income levels that make sense. So if you're starting out a business selling pencils, and your projection is that you're going to make, unless you've got an extraordinary contract, and that would lend itself to your projection. But say you don't have a contract, what you would use is comparables to like businesses, and you'd have to do your research to find out what that is. So I'm saying that to say you wouldn't want to make a projection on selling pencils and give a projection in the first month you're going to make $6.2 million. It just would be out of line.
Thank you, sir, for that response.
Sure.
The next question we have is actually for our representative from the SBA. That question from one of our attendees is, if you have a nonprofit with a double exemption, that they are not required to file a 990, why is the SBA still requiring one? Also requiring a form 4506-T be submitted. However, no filings to retrieve from the IRS. This person indicates that they have submitted proof of that, but to no avail. So they're wondering how they can get some help with these issues.
That question is going to be, I'm going to ask you to contact our office directly so we can look into your file. But in order to get the EIDL loan, the EIDL loan, SBA requires you to have taxes. So since you do not file taxes, you say you submitted proof, but I will have to look into your record or someone in our office, because it's like 5 of us who have access to the system to look into the EIDL portal to see what's going on. So we would have to take a look into the portal to see what's actually going on, what notes been put into the system for your particular record. So if anyone have any is having trouble with their EIDL, don't know what to do, or been denied, please reach out to our office, the South Carolina District Office, 803-765-5377. There's a few of us who have access to the portal who can look in there. But ma'am, you can contact our office directly. But like I stated, in order for SBA or the disaster team to give you a quote on how much you are eligible for, they need to see your taxes in some form of information from an accountant or a system that has what revenue that you generated in 2019. They will not just idly give you any funding without that. That's why they require taxes. And as you know, the 4506T is just, those who don't know, It's just you giving SBA permission to request a copy of your transcript, because with this, since the pandemic hit, there has been a lot of fraudulent information submitted. So, that's why we request the 4506T, so we can see what you actually gave to the government, and they are behind. So just reach out to our office and someone can assist you with getting the information and can better direct you in which direction to go with your information. But please do it soon. We have a holiday coming up, and as I stated, the 31st of December is the last day, and you have to be in the system. So reach out to our office as soon as possible, and we can look directly into the system and see what's going on, and see what notes that the loan officer put in the system for you.
Thank you, Angela, for that information.
You're welcome.
I have a couple more questions for Mr. Whiting. The first question is, prior to applying for a loan, must a business already be established in a retail/storefront address? What if you are counting on a loan to get the business address? That's the first question for you.
Good question. The short answer is no. Again, I said many businesses start out of the home and then move into a space. I will say this: if the target is to start the business in a business storefront, whatever, office, that type of thing, I would suggest that you procure, or at least have a idea of where you're going, because part of your ask, or if some of the funds from the loan are to pay for that space, you need to know how much that is, because that's going to have a bearing on your total overall cost. So if you're planning on leasing, you need to know the amount of that monthly lease. If you're looking to purchase, you need to know what that is. And that will be a part of your financials, which will, be evaluated in your ability to support that loan request.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. And the next question is, if a business is an LLC, does it still need to include all assets? What if one does not have a home, a boat, or an other asset?
Okay. If it's an LLC, it needs to list the assets of the company. But however, on the other document that I discussed, the personal financial statement, you will list any of your assets as your personal assets. That's separate and distinct from the business itself. Does that answer the question?
I believe it does. That person will let us know.
Okay.
There's another question that just came into the Q&A box for us. And the person indicated that you did answer their question, so thank you for that.
Okay.
The next question for you, how much collateral must you have to secure a loan, and how can you secure a business loan in a business name as opposed to a personal loan?
Okay, how do you procure a business loan as opposed to a personal? Well, there are two separate and distinct types of loans. A personal loan is something that is granted to an individual and does not have any of the considerations of the business. The business loan, however, does look at both the business and the individual in making its determination of the ability to support the loan. So I think the other question that was asked was, how do you, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Yes, sir. So the first part of the question was, how much collateral do you need to
Okay.
secure a loan?
Yeah.
And the second part was, how can a business loan be secured in a business name as opposed to a personal loan?
Okay. Okay. So collateral. Typically, the loan itself will ask for, well, most lenders will lend up to 80% of the total
Amount.
project cost.
Yeah.
Project cost, right. So if you're looking for $150,000, typically a lender will lend up to 80% of that total amount. In terms of collateral, the collateral should be able to cover the amount of the loan in the case of a default. So your collateral should be enough to cover that the amount of the loan.
Thank you, sir. The next question that we have, when applying for a business loan, do you need to include information on monies received from government grants?
Yes. There is a separate document that is a disclosure form that will ask you how much you received and when, and the purpose of the loan. So, and it's called the duplication of benefits form. All our loans are government funds. So the purpose of that document is so that there isn't, as it alludes to, there isn't a duplication of funds. If you're asking for funds for payroll during a given period of time and you've already received money for payroll during that time, there shouldn't be a duplication of federal funds for the same cause, for the same amount.
Thank you, sir. And that appears to be all of the questions that we have from our attendees.
Okay.
This session is being recorded. So once this becomes available, we will attempt to make this available to all attendees, or it will be made available on the Commission for Minority Affairs' YouTube page and other social media postings.
Britton, may I make a statement?
Sure.
Yes, please, go ahead.
This is Angela. I forgot to include Cheryl, and will invite Cheryl Sally from the Women's Business Center when I helped put this together. But those of you who had questions about business plan or have questions about business plan and profit and loss and balance sheet, we have free resources that are available to assist you with getting those documents together before you go sit down with Bret Whiting in the City of Columbia OBO office. They can assist you with getting your business plan together, which Bret stated you will need. They can assist you with your profit and loss and balance sheet and your projections, your cash flow projection that Bret said that you will need. So please reach out to Cheryl Sally. She put her email, her information in the beginning of this presentation, like Brent stated. It will be recorded. So, but Cheryl Sally and her team, or the SBDC and their team, they can assist you with getting these documentations together. I would recommend and strongly suggest that you reach out to them before you see a bank or Bret in the City of Columbia, because all the information that you need, I will have someone to look over, review it, to tell you what you're missing, what you need and what you don't need. And although Bret went over everything that you need, I will have someone look over it again to make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. And those services are free. And Cheryl, if you're on, you still on, Cheryl? I don't know if she can unmute herself. Her and her team can assist you with all this. So please reach out to them if they for any assistance that you need with the startup and the financing part of your business. Thank you, Brenton.
Yeah, I'd like to also add that, thank you, Angela. You hit the nail on the head. I can attest to the fact that anything that goes through the Small Business Development Center or Cheryl's agency, when I receive packages from them, they're in good shape. They're what we're exactly looking for.
Thank you. And what I'm doing now, Miss Sally had to step off. She was here earlier, but had to step away. She did put her information in the chat function earlier. However, I am resubmitting that into the chat box for those who need that. So that has just been placed in the chat box for everybody. Mr. Whiting, we do have another question that came in. What are the different loans that are available?
Okay. We basically have three traditional loan pools. One is EDA funding. Those are federal funds. The maximum amount in that fund is $200,000. With that fund, it is required that we have outside participation. So we would have to partner with an outside source, a collaboration on that loan pool. We also have CDBG funding. That pool, the loan max in that pool is $100,000 or more. I'm sorry, $100,000 is the max in that pool, and it does not require outside participation. And the last pool we have are what we call SURF funds. That's Columbia funds that have been allocated to us in a block for us to lend out. And that pool also maxes out at 100,000 without a outside participation requirement.
Right. Thank you, sir. We definitely appreciate that. I'm looking in the chat box and I see no more questions that are coming through. So I will send this back to Anthony Brockington.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenton. Mr. Whiting, thank you so much for that detailed, very detailed information that you provided to our attendees on today. I can tell you, because we've done the research, that is vital information that business owners need on how to prepare to obtain a loan from the City of Columbia. And on behalf of our Executive Director and also our partners on today, the SBA and the City of Columbia, I would like to thank everyone for joining. You will receive a brief survey through email, and as Brenton Brown stated, you will also receive a copy of the presentation on today. If you would please give us feedback regarding our survey to see how we may improve our services here, and also possibly offer some other opportunities that would be beneficial to you as a business owner. Again, I'd like to thank you for joining and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
There's a quick question just came in.
There's one more that came in. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yes, there's a question that says, Mr. Whiting, when you indicated that you said no outside participation, does that include any personal funds?
I need clarity on that, but if you're alluding to the fact that you don't have to participate with your own funding, no. I mean, that would, well, let me just say this. we will lend up to 80% of whatever the total project cost is. If that 20% you need to complete that project, that would have to be sourced from yourself or someone else, but it's not required that there has to be an outside source to participate for that 20%.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the individual who asked that question, they said, thank you. It appears that
welcome.
you answered their question. Okay.
And again, if there's any questions that go beyond what we've discussed today, feel free to contact me and we can discuss it in greater detail.
Thank you. And once again, your contact information is in the chat box for everyone. I have also just put that back in the chat box should somebody not need to search for that and have ready access to that. But once again, we want to thank you. And I'll send it back again to Anthony for any closing words that he may have on our behalf.
At this time, Brenton, just want to again thank everyone for joining, and we look forward to our next presentation. Thank you all.